Good morning, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world. You've tuned in to the Mac City Morning Show. I am your host, Elliot Pierre, and we're going to start the show off the same way we start every episode off, with a moment of gratitude. I know you could be doing a million other things with your time, and the fact that you're spending with us truly does mean the world to me, so thank you. On that note, Tanner, hit him with the intro.
How's she cutting me, loves? You're listening to the Mac City Morning Show.
Okay, and we're back. All right, we're just going to get to it. We've got a great guest here today, longtime resident, business owner of Fort McMurray, and now running for council. So as you know, I do not introduce my guests. I let them do that themselves. So on that note, sir, can you please tell everybody who you are and what you're about?
Thank you. I'm Gareth Norris. Yeah. I have been here, as you say, since 1982, longtime resident, and I've chosen to throw my name into the hat for Ward 1 councillor.
Okay, nice. Now, before we talk about you running for council, there's a local business that you own. What business is that? Let's give that a little bit of a plug.
Sure, yeah. Paddy McSwiggin's, yeah, up in Thickwood.
That's awesome.
Been there a long time now.
Yeah, it's a great bar and restaurant in Fort McMurray. It's a landmark. It's been here for so long.
It is, yeah. Thank you, and we appreciate that. That's because of the community.
Yeah.
Really, I always say I built a building, and the community gave it heart and soul.
Yeah, really. So now with this business, like you're extremely busy and we can talk about what has transpired over the last few years because of COVID, flood, and so on and so forth. You're a very busy man trying to operate in a pretty volatile industry right now. Why did you decide to potentially put more on your plate and run for council?
That's been the $1 million question for the last couple of weeks. I truly believe that it's time for a rethink of how we're operating as a city. Mm-hmm. I think we need some fresh blood, some new ideas. Nothing against the people that are being in there, because that's not an easy job.
No.
You're putting yourself literally in the crosshairs.
Right.
And there's no easy decisions. Nothing's going to be easy about it.
That's right.
But I just think I can bring a different energy, a different experience.
Yeah.
Of the 24 candidates running, the diversity is incredible. The experiences are incredible. I think it's time for that new sort of perspective on how the city operates.
Okay.
And I want to be here 20 years from now listening to my grandchildren whine.
Yeah.
Nothing to do.
That's awesome.
So I can pull out the list and go, here's the 100 things you can do.
Oh, you can do a lot. The community has changed dramatically since the 80s.
Oh, it's incredible.
And what you can do.
Yeah.
So, when kids say, there's nothing to do, I'm like, wow, you should have been here in the 80s and the 90s. There was really nothing to do.
Yeah, and it's only gotten better since.
That's right. We had the woods.
Yeah, literally. And the threat of chores if you said it too loud.
That's right. Yeah. So what initially brought you to Fort McMurray?
My parents actually moved here from the UK.
Okay.
So I turned 14 as I got here, so not the greatest time in your life to move.
No.
Especially to a different country.
That's right.
And to be honest, I did not like Canada at first.
Yeah.
But because of what I left, I didn't understand.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I was older, went back to the UK as an adult,
mm-hmm.
and then I was very grateful to my parents for,
right.
I mean, the opportunities here are incredible.
Yeah, incredible. What part of the UK were you from?
Wales. So born and raised in Cardiff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And ended up with an Irish pub, which always, made my dad shake his head.
That's right. Yeah, well, that's my next question for you. So you moved to Fort McMurray, and when you graduated high school, you must have been doing things prior to opening Paddy McSwiggin's. So what kind of
dabbled in a few little things, but nothing major. Just kind of play with different ideas. Nothing that stuck.
Okay.
Stuck.
Yeah. So what got you into the bar industry? How did that transpire?
It's weird actually. Friends of mine had opened a bar downtown. If you remember Après Sport back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah. So they were looking to sell it. We debated, myself and a couple of friends from the fire hall.
Yeah.
That's where I was working at the time, and some mutual friends considered buying it, and it just didn't work out. It kind of fell through, but it put it in my head.
Right.
So when the opportunity for the space the Paddy's is in became available, a couple of us that were still sort of throwing the idea around made it happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't anything that was a plan. It was just sort of one of those, hey, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I think, I know at the time, I thought I knew what I was doing because I grew up in pubs in the UK. My parents were in the pub trade.
Okay.
So little did I know all the advice they gave me was correct, but as you do.
Yeah.
Completely ignored it for
that's
several
exactly
years.
it.
And
yeah. Okay, so when you opened this, because Paddy's was open before I was legal to go in. So when did the bar
98.
open?
October 98. This is actually our 23rd year this October. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so, like you said, you're from Wales.
Yeah.
Why the Irish pub? How did that stick? Because you can open tons of different bars, sports bars, like it could have been anything.
We thought about a bunch of different concepts. Irish pubs are kind of timeless.
Okay.
Everybody associates an Irish pub with a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's easier to market a person, so that's why we created Paddy McSwiggan's.
Right.
So as a physical entity.
Yeah.
Put a story behind the pub.
Okay, so there's no actual. I was just gonna. You're lining this up too easily for me. So there's no actual Paddy McSwiggan's. Like you guys came up and you said.
We created that. Yeah, literally
Okay.
created the name. Came up with the legend. Myself and a friend of mine.
Yeah.
We literally banged that out in about 15 minutes. But it's interesting because I've had people argue with me.
Yeah.
I was in Ireland and I heard the story. I was like, okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
As long as you keep believing that, I'm okay. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So the evolution of that bar, obviously over the last few years, not years, but years that you've owned it, has been tremendous.
Yeah, it's grown from being, kind of a small pub feel, and then it became a real popular place for live music and live bands, and packed all the time. And then, of course, we went through the fire, and now we've recreated ourselves again.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So now with you running for council, like what do you think you bring to the mix in regards to, well, you've been here for a while, you're a local business owner.
Yeah.
What attributes do you think you have that'll help translate into a council position?
Well, I like to think my experience in business will be an asset. We look at things very differently.
Yeah.
Being able to understand and balance budgets and appreciate that there's not always easy decisions to make.
Right.
The popular decision isn't always the best decision.
That's right.
And we only have so much money.
Yeah.
We're working our way towards 5 and 1 for
That's
tax
right.
base.
That's right.
The glory days are gone of this.
Yeah.
So we really need to be, like I said, in 20 years, I want my grandchildren here.
Yeah.
And I want to be here as a senior citizen, comfortable.
Right. That's right.
So, I'd like to bring that experience to the table, the fact that I've grown up here.
Yeah.
So I understand the dynamics of the city.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched the booms and busts, and there's been way too many.
Mm-hmm.
We need to involve stakeholders. I've been fortunate enough to know people at every level, oil sands industry.
Yeah.
And so over the years, I've listened to them and heard their experiences and understand their perspective, both as a major industrial component and a resident.
Right. Right.
I know some that have been transferred to Calgary and not willingly because they love McMurray so much.
That's right.
And that to me drives me.
Yeah.
Why do they have to go?
Yeah.
Is it a decision based on industry or is it a decision based on community?
Right. Right.
So
with all your time here, like you moved here when you were 14. Now you said you have grandchildren.
Yep.
How many grandkids do you have?
2.
2 grandkids,
Yeah,
boys, girls?
2 girls. I'm surrounded by girls.
Okay.
Careful what you fantasize about when you're younger. Didn't expect them to all be mine.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So
I'm
what
pretty
keeps you
blessed.
busy in this community now? So like, because obviously the transition from a 14-year-old to a grandfather and the community in itself in regards to how it's grown so much. Like, what do you actually do in Fort McMurray?
That's a good question. Sometimes I wonder what I did all day, and it's the days disappeared. The business takes up a lot of time right now, which of course was one of my major considerations. So Trish, who's my fiance / business partner, we had to have a very blunt conversation. Without her backing, I couldn't do this, and without the backing of my staff,
Right.
because I've got to step back. This is a full-time job,
That's right.
and I want to commit that time.
Yeah.
So right now, what's keeping me busy is making sure everything's lined up for the business, so that when I do
Right.
step back, if I'm successful,
Yes.
there's not a big void to be filled. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they'll tell you I don't do anything. I'm just eye candy, and that's fine too.
That's
You
fine.
can find another eye candy to replace me. So
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
There we go. I got a question about bars. I want to swing into 'cause I'm fascinated with bars. It's a romantic thing to think I'm going to open a bar.
Very much so. Yeah, it's not Cheers. I thought it would be.
Yeah. And I know myself well enough that there's no way I'm going to be hanging out on a Friday night working at a bar serving alcohol. There's no way I'm going to join the party.
Yeah.
So I know you have to have true discipline for it. But I've always wondered when it comes to the types of beers that you have.
Yeah.
How do you select what you have on tap?
That's a very good question. We actually just went through that yesterday because we're
Okay.
about to launch a new menu.
Yeah.
So we're revisiting the beers we have and the liquors, etc. You always have your core business. There's certain beers. You've got your domestics. Are always going to sell.
Right.
Your Bud Lights, your Canadians, those sort of things.
Yeah.
As an Irish pub, we wanted to bring some of that European feel.
That's right.
So we've got the Harp, the Murphys, the Guinness, and we make sure they are right from Ireland.
Yeah.
Because you can buy some brewed under license.
Oh, okay.
Completely different taste.
Oh,
And
completely.
you'll know if you've had it.
Yeah.
You'll know it.
Yeah.
So, and then we try and play with the craft beers, try and support Alberta as much as we can.
Okay.
as much local as we can. And we just sort of see what's trending.
Yeah.
And some of it is literally we just bring in samples and sit with the staff, and everybody has a taste. And
Okay.
yeah, it's there's no specific science to it, but
Right.
yeah.
So you're just picking what you like and what is kind of selling.
Yeah, and we
obviously.
work with the chef on the menu. You
Yeah.
know, we want to try and make sure that we're not
Yeah.
going to bring in a beer that's going to spoil that taste of every meal. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So as a Irish pub, obviously, like you sell a lot of Guinness.
Yep, lots of Guinness.
Lots of Guinness. Do you have a relationship with that distributor? Like if you go to Ireland and they're just like, and you're like, hey, I buy
No, I
tons
wish.
of.
They're such a huge corporation.
Yeah.
You know, and we probably don't even show on their radar.
Okay.
So, yeah. We try to deal with the reps as much as we can.
Right.
But again, being such a huge, the company that owns Guinness is massive. They
Yeah.
own so much.
Yeah.
Their portfolio, it's hard to home in on one thing
Yeah.
and be, hey, I'm that guy.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we got lots of you.
Yeah, yeah. Like, who are you again?
Yeah.
What country? Yeah.
Yeah. I had the pleasure to go do the tour when I was in Ireland. I went to their facility.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The
Yeah.
history is
Amazing, isn't it?
steep.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
You don't realize the history behind it.
Yeah.
And the risk he took doing it. That's
Yeah.
what always amazes me as I look at these companies. Guinness.
Yeah.
You know, it started with one guy with an idea,
That's
like
right.
the rest of us.
That's right. That's
So,
all it
you know,
takes.
yeah. It's just having that drive and ambition.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Next.
Didn't he also get like a really good lease on the
Oh,
land?
an
Yeah.
incredible lease. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish
Yeah,
he could.
like-
If he was alive today, I'd be sending him to my landlord. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
that's right.
Yeah, I think it was like $1 for 100 years
Yeah,
or something.
it was
ridiculous
insane. Yeah,
like
with
that.
water rights, which was the big thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Yeah, they've done something. It's amazing. Next time I go back to Ireland, what I'd really like to do actually is go on one. There's like a whiskey trail you can go through,
Yeah.
and like you just it's a log trail. It takes days, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just go to
hit
the
all the
different
distilleries.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
really cool.
Like the one Ron Swanson went on.
I don't know what's
You-
this.
You never watched Parks and Rec?
No.
No, he goes on a big long journey to try whiskey in Ireland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like
I'll have to watch that episode.
Yeah, he goes on a boat and stuff. I think he goes to see the Jameson's factory actually.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
we did the Jamesons one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a whiskey guy, but
Okay.
everybody else was. So of course, when
That's
in
right.
Rome, yeah,
So you go walk. Yeah.
it was
It's a
good.
beautiful country. They make good alcohol.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, you know what? I've always wanted to do Ireland. I mean, growing up in the UK,
Yeah.
it's weird because it's right there.
That's right.
But we never went across.
Yeah.
So going back as an adult, I really appreciate the history. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit of a history buff, so the
Yeah.
architecture and the history. Mm-hmm. You know, I grew up in a pub that was an old Roman barracks.
Oh, neat.
So to me, it's really cool thinking of that now. At the time, I didn't appreciate it.
Yeah, of course not. You're a
So,
kid.
yeah, to go back to Ireland, you walk into a pub and there's a sign above the door that says 1772, and you're like, wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Pretty
Owned by the
amazing.
same family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
in some
right.
cases, yeah, it's
That's right.
crazy. Yeah.
So we're at the part of the show called the Mac City Minute. This is Tanner's segment. He's going to ask you some questions. I don't know
Okay.
what he's going to ask you. Best of luck, Tanner.
Yeah,
Hit him with the
thank
Mac
you.
City Minute.
Alrighty, question number 1. What is your craziest story you have from your time as a barkeep?
Oh boy, without naming names and potentially ending people's careers, we had to kick in a bathroom door one day because somebody was being very friendly in there with another patron, and despite us climbing and looking over the top and visually seeing what was going on, which didn't slow them down at all,
Yeah.
we had to physically kick the door in and say, you know, pants back up, time to go home.
Wow.
That was a little crazy. Yeah, it turned into a bit of a show.
Yeah, no doubt. Question number 2. As somebody from Cardiff, what do the Bluebirds mean to you?
Oh, that's a good question. If my uncle ever listens to this, they mean the world to me. Any local sports team, I mean, obviously I grew up there. I try to follow them as much as I can. I don't get to watch as much because of time differences, and I hate watching something that's recorded.
Or staying
Guaranteed.
up until 4 a.m.?
Yeah, guaranteed somebody's already sent me the score, which just drives me insane.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're great for the community, and I support them as much as I can while I'm over here.
Question number 3. What is one thing that you can remember about your first day in Canada?
Oh, wow, that's a very long story. I'll try to make short. Landing in Edmonton Airport and realizing we didn't know where we were going and what we were doing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we ended up, my uncle came and picked us up, and we ended up in Grand Cache.
No,
of all places.
what?
Yeah, it was, I didn't hear the story till years later from my parents, but
Yeah.
when we arrived, the oil recession had hit.
Right?
But the opportunities my dad thought he had when we left the UK were all shut. They just canceled everything.
Yeah.
But they couldn't reach us because we were in transit. It took that long for us to get out of the UK to here.
Right.
So yeah, so we ended up in a truck heading up to Grand Cache, and I just remember it being bloody cold.
Yeah.
My uncle stopped and got pizza, which was a new thing for us,
Yeah.
and it had pineapple on it. And that's what I remember going. Somebody screwed up and they put this on this pie. Yeah. Yeah. Back of a big old Ford pickup truck, the original crew cabs.
Yeah.
Freezing cold. Yeah. Heat wasn't reaching the back seat, thinking, what have we done?
Yeah.
Well, sitting in the back of that big truck must have just been an event.
It was amazing. The truck was the size of some houses to me from growing up in the UK. So, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Question number 4. What is the story behind the best beer you've ever tried?
Actually, it was in Germany. We were over there visiting, doing a quick trip. Randomly walked into a tavern, and they sat me down at a table that was full.
Yeah.
Because there was no room. They literally shoved people over and sat me down. Nobody spoke English. I looked at the guy's beer and pointed. And he shook his head, pointed to the one next to him. So she brought that one, and it was, of course, that big.
Yeah,
it was
Stein.
an apple-based beer. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
By the end of the night, I was upstairs in the tavern singing English version of the German songs they were singing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great night. I remember that one forever.
That's
yeah.
a good one.
And your final question. What is one way you think your Welsh upbringing helped you run a bar in Fort McMurray?
I think growing up in the industry, so I understood the dynamics and the atmosphere we were trying to create. Pubs are huge in the UK, so growing up in them, houses are so small, families don't necessarily gather. They'll go to a pub.
That's right.
They'll go to pubs for Christmas dinner. Like people are booking Christmas dinner now at pubs.
Yeah.
Because houses are too small. So
Yep.
to me, it's a second home, and that's what I wanted to bring to Fort McMurray was that feel.
And those have been your 5 questions.
Thank you.
It's nuts. This is years ago now when I was over there, but it was one thing that culturally is very different over there, is that like you just go to your local pub
It's normal.
every night.
Yeah, literally every night.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in Ireland. I was in Kerry. That's where I was. I was in Kerry. And my wife's uncle, there was like a local pub right down the street from him. So we went there like 2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
And then me and my brother-in-law were just like, so are there any other bars here? And he's just like, oh yeah, there's like a few other places like you can drive to. And we're like, oh, so are we going to go check out one of those places tonight? He's just like,
Why?
no.
Yeah.
And then we're like, why not? He's like, why would we? You go to your pub. And I'm like, well, how far is the other one? And the other one's like literally the same 10-minute walk
the other way.
in a different direction. He's like, yeah, you guys can go there.
Yeah.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things. Like,
It's crazy. There's pubs in Cardiff that are literally across the road.
yeah,
And this was my dad's local.
that's right.
And you don't go to that one.
Yeah.
Like
It's
when I-
nuts.
On your barber.
That's right. It's
yeah, the
crazy.
first time I went back with him, we were walking around Cardiff. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's go for a pint. I'm going in there. Why not?
Yeah,
Well, my local's around the corner.
that's right.
But it's right. No, I'm not going in there.
It's so
Yeah.
different, but they just go and it's a big. It was a beautiful thing to experience in regards to like in North America and Canada. I can only speak for like what I grew up with. Like when you go to the bar, more often than not, like you're gonna drink and you might drink a little bit too much, but like
Yeah.
the game plan is to go and drink.
That's why you go to the bar.
That's why you
Yeah.
go to the bar. But over there, yes, you will drink something.
Yeah.
But you're not going there to drink.
No, there's truly social.
It was
You're
nuts.
going to see people and hang out and have a pint.
That's
or a
right.
bite to eat.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a different lifestyle, and I remember touching down and just going into a pub in the middle of the afternoon just for like chips and a grilled cheese and ham sandwich.
Yeah.
And that was just the norm. And there's tons of people there. Once again, not there to drink, just there to socialize,
Yeah.
grab a sandwich, maybe
Yeah.
a pint, and then go back to work.
And you can go by yourself and nobody thinks twice about
That's right.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. And
Yeah.
I grew up going to Patty. So like I felt some of the culture there. I remember going there for like lunches with family and friends and like how bars operate here. You can have young people in prior to certain hours. So like you really have created like a really good feel for like what I experienced over there as
Yeah,
well.
thank
Can we
you.
book
Yeah.
Christmas dinner at your pub?
Done. Done and done.
Yeah, my wife will kill me, but yeah, I'll show up. I'll show up. Yeah.
We'll give a wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of the episode, but everybody gets a shameless plug or shout out at the end of the show.
Okay.
So the mic's on you, the camera's on you. Have fun.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, when you're thinking of voting, you think of me. I have a lot of experience to bring to the table, some passion, some dedication, truly want what's best for this community. If you have any questions, reach out to me through Facebook or my webpage, garethnorris.ca, or stop by Patty's for a pint. I'm there 90% of the time, usually in the kitchen doing dishes. So give a yell and I'll come out.
There we go. Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I tell this to everybody, and I truly do mean it, though. You can come back to the show again and again and again. So if there's anything you ever want to promote, anything going on with potentially council in the future, or anything at your restaurant that you want to hype up, please feel free to come back to the show again and again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sweet. Well, everybody at home, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world, thank you once again for tuning in. I do appreciate it. That's the end of another episode of the Mac City Morning Show. I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.